On the morning of the wedding, as I arrived to pick up my fiancée, Jessica Miller, her male best friend Kyle stepped in front of the door holding a questionnaire. He grinned. "Ethan, my man, if you want to marry Jess, you've got to get through us first. A little test to prove you really know her. 80% gets you a pass." I took the sheet of paper and my eyes scanned the questions. What's the shape of the mole on Jessica's chest? What color lingerie does Jessica wear when she wants to feel powerful? What's Jessica's favorite thing to say when she's at her peak? When you two get intimate, does she prefer to be on top or bottom? What's her go-to move? Ignoring the smug, knowing look on his face, I turned to Jessica. Kyle, thinking I was looking for help, quickly cut in. Jess, no helping. These are the basics. If Ethan doesn't know this stuff, he doesn't deserve you. Jessica just shrugged, a silent approval of the whole charade. Seeing that familiar, indulgent expression she always had for Kyle, I suddenly had to laugh. Fine. If that's how it was going to be, I was out. I leave the sheet blank. I crumpled the questionnaire into a tight ball and threw it straight at Kyle's face. The smile vanished from his face. He grabbed Jessica's arm, stomping his foot like a child. Jess, are you going to let him get away with that? He's throwing a fit because he can't answer the questions. Jessica, who had been enjoying the show, immediately scowled at me. Ethan, what the hell is your problem? It's our wedding day. Can't you take a joke? She glared at me, her brow furrowed in anger, as if I were the one being petty and unreasonable. Have you even read the questions on that paper? I asked coldly. Skeptical, Jessica picked up the crumpled ball at her feet and smoothed it out. Her face went from flushed to pale, but she still doubled down, her neck stiff with defiance. It's a wedding. Isn't it normal for friends to mess around a little? My groomsmen, who had come with me, started trying to smooth things over. Yeah, Ethan, come on, man. It's your big day. Don't let this ruin it. Suddenly, Jessica let out a short, sharp laugh. You're always so serious. Why don't you just write down some random answers and get it over with? Kyle immediately protested. No way, Jess. If he doesn't get an 80, I'm not letting him marry you. Jessica playfully poked Kyle's forehead with her finger. You're impossible. Fine, we'll do it your way. She then turned back to me, her tone casual. You heard him. I can't help you. You're on your own. But I'll give you 3 chances to get it right. Make them count. I ignored the taunting smirk on Kyle's face and locked my eyes on Jessica. So, you're really going to make me answer this? I said, each word deliberate. Our eyes met, and a flicker of uncertainty crossed her face before it hardened into annoyance. She felt like she had given me an out, and I was refusing to take it. Ethan, don't be an ass. Why are you taking this so seriously? You want to make a scene and embarrass everyone on our wedding day. Now you're not just answering the questions, she added, her voice rising. You're going to get on your knees and apologize to Kyle. Kneel and apologize? Looking at her fiercely protective stance, I was suddenly thrown back to the early years of our relationship, when she used to defend Kyle, just like this. He always had a habit of pushing my buttons, calling it a joke. He'd accidentally delete critical data from the company server, unintentionally scribble cartoons on a major contract for Hayes Corp, and playfully fill my personal travel mug with hot sauce. Every time I confronted him, Jessica would shield him. He's just immature. He doesn't know any better. He was just trying to be funny. It all came to a head 2 months ago. Kyle deliberately put peanut butter in my lunch, knowing I have a severe allergy. I ate it and collapsed on the spot. By the time the ambulance got me to the hospital, I was barely breathing. The doctor said I was lucky to be alive. A piece of a peanut had gotten lodged in my throat, preventing the rest from going down. I remember Jessica staying by my bedside all night, her eyes swollen from crying, promising she would make Kyle pay. But the next day, she brought a pouty, remorseful Kyle to my hospital room to apologize. He's just a kid, Ethan. He was just trying to pull a prank. He's been crying his eyes out for days. He feels terrible. I can tell he's truly sorry. For my sake, she pleaded, can we just let this go? Seeing how exhausted and helpless she looked, my resolve softened, and I forgave him. And now, here he was again, hiding behind another joke, forcing this disgusting questionnaire on me. I couldn't take it anymore. I fought to keep my voice steady. Jessica, are you telling me to kneel and apologize to him? Kyle instinctively puffed out his chest, a smug look of victory on his face. As if triggered by my defiance, Jessica's voice shot up. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Get on your knees and apologize to him right now. Ethan, we have guests waiting. Are you really going to blow everything up like this? To hear her tell it, I was the one being completely irrational. Seeing the stubborn set of my jaw, she pinched the bridge of her nose, her voice weary. Just do it for my sake today. Kneel, apologize. You've been wanting to go to the Maldives, right? I promise. We'll go for our honeymoon right after the wedding. In her mind, a trip to the Maldives was fair compensation for the complete loss of my dignity. Kyle's lips curled into a sneer, his eyes filled with ridicule. He was waiting for me to kneel, to break. I took off my suit jacket, folded it neatly, and placed it on Jessica's bed. Just as everyone assumed I was about to get on my knees, a loud crack echoed through the room. I had punched Kyle square in the face. His nose instantly gushed blood. The room fell dead silent. Kyle, clutching his face in disbelief, sank to the floor. "Ethan, are you trying to kill me?" Jessica grabbed my arm. "How dare you hit him in front of everyone? Do you have any idea what you just did? That's assault. We could call the cops and have you arrested. You owe me an explanation for this right now." Watching Jessica, poised like an angry cat ready to strike, shielding Kyle while demanding answers from me, I felt a strange sense of déjà vu. Once a long time ago, she had stood in front of me just like that. My family's business had gone bankrupt, and creditors had cornered me on campus, trying to pressure my parents. It was Jessica who had bravely stood between us, threatening to call the police, saving me. Now, that protective instinct was directed elsewhere, and I was just tired. I gently removed her hand from my arm. "Do you remember," I said quietly, "what you said 2 months ago after the peanut butter incident? You said, well, you didn't die, did you? Is it really worth calling the police over something so small?" I remember lying in that hospital bed. I continued, wondering if I had died, if you as my next of kin would have signed a victim impact statement forgiving my killer. Today, I think I got my answer. The next second, Kyle dropped to his knees, his voice thick with fake sobs. "Ethan, man, it's all my fault. I'll leave right now. I'll never get between you and Jess again." He said he'd leave, but he didn't move an inch. Jessica's brief hesitation hardened into fury. "Ethan," Kyle already admitted he was wrong. "How long are you going to hold this grudge? Why can't you just accept him?" She pulled Kyle into a hug, and he buried his face in her shoulder, letting out theatrical, gulping sobs. "Jess, it's not Ethan's fault. Please don't let me ruin your relationship." He was making a big show of crying, but I didn't see a single tear. He swiped at his dry eyes with the back of his hand. "I just took it too far," he whimpered. "I was only trying to joke around with Ethan. I didn't think he'd react like this. It's all my fault. I've always been so immature, always messing things up." The more he talked, the more Jessica's heart ached for him. She patted his back comfortingly. "It's not your fault. It's Ethan. He just can't take a joke." Her comfort only made Kyle cry harder. People around us started to chime in. "It's a wedding day. Everyone just needs to take a step back." "Yeah, really. Every couple fights. You got a whole life ahead of you. Everybody just calm down. Let's not derail the ceremony." A sly look flashed in Kyle's eyes. He continued his whimpering act. "I don't care if I get hurt, but I just hope, after you're married, Ethan won't take his anger out on you, Jess. I mean, if he can get this angry on his wedding day, I can't imagine what life will be like." His voice trailed off, becoming a whisper, but it was perfectly pitched for everyone in the room to hear. "Does he have, like, anger issues? An abusive streak?" I watched his performance in silence. Jessica's face paled. He was right. If I could cause a scene like this over something so small on our wedding day, what would married life be like? Kyle's words had found their mark. She bit her lip, her expression hardening as she looked at me. "Today, are you going to kneel or not?" The way she looked at me, it was as if she'd already convicted me of being some kind of monster. The last shred of hope I had withered away. I let out a bitter, self-mocking laugh. "And what if I don't apologize?" A sarcastic smile touched Jessica's lips. "You don't? Then you can forget about getting married." In her arms, Kyle could barely contain his triumphant smirk. He was waiting for my apology, already certain of his victory. In the past, whenever Jessica threatened to break up with me, I always caved. They thought they had me perfectly figured out. This time, they were in for a surprise. "Fine," I said, my throat tight. "Then we're not getting married." Jessica froze for a second, then looked up sharply. "What? What did you say? Say that again. I dare you." Her eyes were wide with disbelief. I looked at her, my expression like ice. I repeated, enunciating every word, "We're done. The wedding is off." Jessica seemed dazed for a moment. Then she forced a bitter laugh. Fine. You made your choice. You take some time and think about what you've done. When you're ready to get on your knees and apologize to Kyle, we can talk about getting married again." I just shook my head, exhausted. There is no us anymore, I thought as I walked out of the room without looking back. As I turned, I caught Kyle shooting me a look of pure, triumphant provocation over Jessica's shoulder. My groomsmen followed me out. I expected them to try and talk me down, but instead, they just clapped me on the back. "We've got your back, Ethan." Dude, we saw the way those two were looking at each other. It was gross. Seriously, man. That's been going on for a while. We didn't want to say anything before, but we're with you 100% on this. So, everyone else had seen it. Love and the lack of it were obvious to everyone but me. I had been lying to myself the whole time. My phone rang. It was Jessica's mom. "Ethan Hayes, is this how you treat my daughter? Look at the mess you've made," she screeched without even a hello. "Couldn't you have handled your little disagreement in private? Did you have to make such an ugly public scene? Let me tell you something. You have completely humiliated my family today. The next time you come crawling back to apologize, you'd better be ready to double the down payment on the house. Otherwise, don't even bother showing your face." Double the down payment? That was $1 million. The woman was shameless. "The next time I see you," I said calmly, "I'll bring a check for $5 million. There was a stunned silence on the other end. Then her voice came back, practically vibrating with excitement. "Oh, well, that's very generous of you. Look, this whole thing isn't entirely your fault. Jessica has been spending a little too much time with Kyle. I'll have a talk with her. You just take some time to cool off, bring the money, and apologize. I'll handle the rest." I could practically see her face, flushed and greedy, her eyes squeezed shut in a triumphant smile. I hung up the phone with a cold laugh. $5 million? She could dream on. Even though I knew I'd made the right decision, it still hurt. We had been together for 5 years. Just then my phone buzzed. It was my childhood friend, Claire Williams. She sounded a little drunk. "Ethan, I heard you were getting married today. Congratulations." "Yeah, thanks. But it's not happening anymore." The line went silent for a beat. "You want to get married instead?" I blurted out, not even sure why I was saying it. "To me. Today. You could be my bride." The silence stretched on. I was sure I had scared her off and was about to hang up when her voice came back, shaky and rushed. "Yes, I do. But you have to promise me this isn't just you rebounding. Promise you'll be good to me for the rest of our lives." "I promise," I said. "I swear on my life." "Okay," she whispered, her voice full of a shy joy. "Then I'll be waiting for you to come get me." The last-minute bride swap didn't cause as much of a stir as you might think. For most of the guests, the main event was the open bar and the quality of the dinner buffet. On the stage, the officiant asked that timeless question, "Do you, Ethan, take Claire to be your lawfully wedded wife?" I looked at Claire, her eyes shining as she gazed at me with so much love, and it hit me. She truly loved me. We'd been inseparable as kids, promising we'd be together forever. But kids say silly things. When I went to college, I met Jessica. To avoid any awkwardness, Claire slowly drifted away. It wasn't until this moment, seeing her standing here without a second's hesitation, that I finally understood her feelings. And I finally knew who was truly worth protecting. I do. After the last guest had left, we went to our hotel suite. It was a wild night. We didn't wake up until the sun was high in the sky the next day. I opened my eyes to see Claire propped on her elbow, watching me with a gentle smile. I pulled her into my arms. "What is it, wife?" "It's just. Fate is a funny thing, isn't it? We ended up together after all." She told me how she'd had a crush on me for as long as she could remember, and how hearing I was getting married had crushed her, making her feel like her world was ending. My heart ached with a profound sense of tenderness. A notification pinged on my phone. I picked it up. Claire rested her head on my arm, looking at the screen with me. It was a text from Jessica. "Because of that stunt you pulled yesterday, Kyle's been diagnosed with clinical depression. You need to take some time to think about what you did. When you figure it out, you can come and apologize. I'm going to take Kyle on a trip for a while. Think of it as me making it up to him on your behalf." Her tone was so condescending, so self-righteous. It was followed by a picture of a doctor's note for Kyle's depression. Seeing the message, Claire, now nestled in my arms, pouted her lips and made a mock-crying face. Without a second thought, I blocked and deleted Jessica's number. Claire's pout immediately turned into a wide, happy grin. I tapped the end of her nose. "You're a menace." Crying 1 second, laughing the next. She just giggled. "Ethan, let's go to the Maldives for our honeymoon." On a white sand beach in the Maldives, I ran into the last people I ever expected to see, Jessica and Kyle. Under a large beach umbrella, Jessica was lying on a lounge chair in a bikini, kicking her legs playfully in the air. Kyle was grinning as he rubbed sunscreen on her back, occasionally giving her a playful slap on her, but that sent her into fits of giggles. He didn't look very depressed to me. Jessica turned her head and our eyes locked. The smile froze on her face. Ethan, what are you doing here?" Then, as if a switch flipped in her brain, her expression shifted from shock to outrage. "Ethan, you're disgusting. Are you stalking me? Kyle is depressed because of what you did. I'm just here helping him relax." Even though her words were harsh, there was a hint of defensiveness in them, as if she were trying to explain herself. "This is how he relaxes?" I asked casually. Jessica's temper flared. "Ethan, How many times do I have to tell you? Kyle and I are just besties. The words flew out of my mouth before I could stop them. The kind of besties who get naked and rub lotion on each other. My face was a blank mask. I didn't notice the flash of fury in Kyle's eyes. Suddenly, he started slapping himself hard across the face. Left, right. Smack, smack, smack. His cheeks immediately swelled, and a trickle of blood appeared at the corner of his mouth. Kyle! Jessica shrieked, grabbing his hands. What are you doing? Stop it. Kyle's face was a mess of snot and fake tears. Ethan, I know I screwed up, he bawled. I'm sorry I ruined your wedding. I shouldn't even be here. I'll leave right now. He said he was leaving, but his body didn't move. I just watched his pathetic performance, unimpressed. Jessica held on to him, her eyes full of pain. This isn't your fault. Why are you hitting yourself? No, Jess, it's all my fault. I was so immature, and I caused this huge problem between you two. Kyle buried his head and continued his confession. The more he admitted his guilt, the angrier Jessica got at me. Her eyes were practically shooting flames. Ethan, are you happy now? Are you going to keep pushing until you drive him over the edge? He already said he was sorry. No, Jess, it's all my fault. Kyle mumbled, then looked at me. Ethan, if you're mad, just hit me. Please don't take it out on Jess. He was still going on with his act. Slap, 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 slap. A rapid series of smacks echoed on the beach. My hand stung from the impact on Kyle's face. Well, that's a first, I muttered to myself. Never met someone who actually asked for it. Jessica lunged at me like a wild animal and shoved me back. Ethan, are you insane? You actually hit him? He's just a kid who messes around sometimes. A mischievous kid? The kid who fed me something I was deathly allergic to? The kid who tried to humiliate me on my wedding day with that vile questionnaire? Jessica was hysterical, a furious panther standing between me and Kyle, ready to tear me apart. Kyle's face was now genuinely wet with tears, but through his swollen lips, a small, triumphant smile played. Jess, don't blame him. It's my fault. He looked up at me, his eyes filled with a taunting glee he couldn't hide. Are you happy now, Ethan? I just hope this doesn't affect your relationship with Jess. I didn't let him finish. I lunged forward, tackled him onto the sand, and my fist started flying like rain. When not even close to done, I grunted with each punch. A flicker of excitement crossed his eyes. The more I hit him, the more disappointed Jessica would be with me, and the more she would dote on him later. But I kept going for a full 10 minutes. When his face was a bloody mess, he finally started to panic. He shielded his head and screamed, Jess, help me. He's going to kill me. I didn't want a murder charge, so when my arms felt like lead, I stood up. Kyle was a heap on the ground, gasping for air like a landed fish. Crack! Jessica's hand connected with my cheek. The pain was sharp and hot. Her eyes were filled with tears. Get out of here. I never want to see you again. A sarcastic smile pulled at my lips, as if I wanted to see her. Good, I said quietly. Let's make it permanent. With that, I turned and walked away. Jessica was stunned. She had never expected me to speak to her like that. Hadn't I always bent over backward for her? What had gotten into Ethan lately? Was he determined to make her miserable? They were just best friends. Why was he so jealous? And now he had beaten Kyle to a pulp right in front of her. He must still love her, she thought. He must be so in love with her that it drove him to this. Maybe she had gone too far, letting her friendship with Kyle make him so angry. Then she remembered the look of utter contempt on my face as I walked away. It made her feel a strange unease. No, it had to be a mistake. She was imagining things. After all, Ethan Hayes had promised to spend another $5 million to marry her. If that wasn't true love, what was? Their vacation had just started, and now Kyle was in a hospital in the Maldives. Jessica had no choice but to stay and look after him. The day he was admitted, she posted an Instagram story, making sure to tag the exact hospital location. She was sure that once I'd had time to cool off and realize my mistake, I would show up to apologize. But 5 days passed, and there was no sign of me. A seed of anxiety began to sprout. Several times, she picked up her phone to text me, only to throw it back on the hospital bed in frustration. Just as she was about to break down and call me, the door opened. Jess, Kyle said, limping into the room holding a takeout container. After 5 days, his injuries were starting to heal. Still no word from Ethan? Jessica tried to hide the annoyance in her eyes. This time, I'm not letting him off easy. He's going to get on his knees and apologize to you. But a new thought wormed its way into her mind. What if he had already gone back to the States? Trying to sound casual, she said, You know, you look like you're mostly healed. We shouldn't waste any more time here. Let's head home. Kyle immediately started whining, grabbing her arm. But Jess, you promised we'd have a real vacation. He pouted, his expression a caricature of innocence. A wave of revulsion washed over Jessica. How had she ever become besties with a man like this? He had no sense of boundaries. He was nearly 30 years old and still acted like a child, constantly calling her sis and using it as an excuse to get handsy. Kyle, Jessica said, her patience wearing thin. We're a man and a woman, alone on a trip together. It was never appropriate. Besides, I still have a fiancée. Kyle's eyes reddened, and tears began to well up. I'm sorry. I only think of you as a big sister. Are you crying again? Jessica sighed, exasperated. She pulled him into a hug, her voice flat and robotic. I'm sorry. I'm just on edge. Jess, I know you're stressed out, Kyle sniffled. I bought some wine. Maybe we could have a drink? Wine? Sure, why not? Jessica had a lot on her mind. She didn't refuse. As he opened the bottle, Kyle said casually, Don't be sad, Jess. I'm sure Ethan still loves you. I mean, if he didn't, why would he follow you all the way to the Maldives? Why would he get so jealous that he'd beat me up? Hearing it put that way, Jessica's anxiety began to fade. He was right. It was obvious to everyone. Ethan must still be crazy about her. It was a classic case of love turning to hate. All she had to do was apologize properly, and he'd be wrapped around her finger again. No, wait. She hadn't done anything wrong. Why should she be the one to apologize? But you can't give in to men so easily, Jess, Kyle continued, comforting her as he handed her a glass of wine. You have to play it cool. Wait for him to come crawling back. Soon, Jessica felt her limbs grow heavy, and a strange heat spread through her body. Kyle helped her lie down on the hospital bed, his fingers brushing against the inside of her thigh. Jessica froze as if struck by lightning. She tried to pull away, but she had no strength. Kyle, no, stop. He pressed his face against her skirt, his hot breath making her skin itch. She instinctively shifted. Jess, I ruined your wedding night. Let me make it up to you tonight. You're so beautiful, Jess, he whispered. The sweet nothings dissolved the last of her resistance. It was a wild night. When she woke up the next morning, Kyle was asleep beside her. They were both completely naked. Jessica's scream woke Kyle up. What's wrong, Jess? He asked, rubbing his eyes, feigning confusion. Jessica buried her face in her hands, sobbing. How could you do that to me? I'm your best friend. Do you really believe that yourself, Jess? Kyle's voice had a teasing edge. Besides, you were pretty into it last night. The memory of the night before, of how she had actively participated, made her whole body tremble. Looking at Kyle's face now, she just felt sick. Panic and dread washed over her. No, if she didn't say anything, no one would ever know what happened. With that thought, Jessica composed herself, her gaze turning venomous. If you breathe a single word of what happened last night to anyone, I will destroy you. Kyle shrank back, stammering, I would never. Suddenly, Jessica thought of me, and what I had done didn't seem so unforgivable anymore. From my perspective, being humiliated like that on my wedding day, anyone would have been angry. It was strange how, after she had made a much bigger mistake, she could suddenly see things so clearly. Ethan's transgression wasn't that bad. All she had to do was give him a way out, let him apologize, and they could move past it. She grabbed her phone and, without a moment's hesitation, dialed my number. A busy signal. She tried again, and again. It was always busy. That's when she realized I had blocked her. Fine. It had only been a few days, and now he was playing hard to get. But this time, she thought with a smirk, you win, Ethan Hayes. Give me your phone, she demanded, holding her hand out to Kyle. Kyle puffed up with indignation. Jess, you can't give in to him. You have to be strong. Wait for what I do. Jessica cut him off coldly. Is none of your business. Kyle fell silent. My phone rang. The caller ID said Kyle Peterson. I answered. Are you ever going to quit? It's me, Ethan. It was Jessica's voice. What do you want? I asked, annoyed. Ethan, I know you realize you were wrong, she said. And I forgive you. I'm flying back tomorrow. My flight lands at noon. I'm expecting a surprise. She hung up before I could respond. For a moment, I was just confused. The woman was completely delusional. What on earth was she talking about? Then I remembered the day I proposed to her. She had been on a trip with Kyle then, too. I had waited at the airport for 3 days. When she finally walked through the arrivals gate, she was greeted by a red carpet and a sea of flowers. I got down on one knee, and she had covered her mouth, proclaiming she was the happiest woman alive. She was expecting me to recreate that moment. A surprise. I'd give her a surprise, all right. I picked up my phone and made a call. Terminate all existing and future contracts with Miller Corp. Effective immediately. Hayes Corporation will no longer do business with them. Next, I call my personal lawyer. I want to start legal proceedings to recover the engagement ring, the down payment on the house, and the car I bought for Jessica Miller. She wanted a romantic gesture. I hope this one was big enough for her. The next day at noon, Jessica's flight landed right on time. There were no flowers, no red carpet. She couldn't even see me in the crowd waiting to pick her up. She couldn't believe her eyes. Fine, Ethan Hayes. I gave you the perfect opportunity, and you blew it. Jessica clenched her fists. For some reason, remembering my annoyed tone on the phone, a wave of anxiety washed over her. But she pushed it down. He was probably just held up with something important. He loved her too much to suddenly become so cruel. Every other time he'd gotten angry, he'd always forgiven her in the end, right? She took a deep breath, trying to calm the unease in her heart. Suddenly, her phone rang. Her heart leaped. It must be Ethan, calling to apologize. She looked at the screen. It was her father. She frowned. The moment she answered, her father's roar nearly deafened her. "Jessica, look what you've done." A lump of dread formed in her stomach. "What's wrong, Dad?" Her father sent her a video. In it, she and Kyle were in the hospital room. Jessica, her face flushed, was clearly enjoying herself while Kyle worked away diligently. "You have the nerve to ask me what's wrong?" "I should be asking you," he bellowed. "Hayes Corporation just pulled the plug on all our contracts, and he's suing us to get the engagement money back." "No, no," Jessica whispered, her voice trembling. "How could he know? No, this is fake. It's not real." "I don't care what you have to do," her father yelled. "You get him back, or I'll break both your legs." When her father hung up, Jessica just stood there, stunned. Suddenly, a thought struck her, and she turned on Kyle, her eyes burning with rage. "Our video from yesterday. How'd it get out?" Kyle tried to deny it, but his stammering and shifty eyes were a dead giveaway. She snatched his phone out of his hand. What she found made her whole body shake violently. In his iMessage history with me was the video he had sent. The clip of them in the hospital, naked and writhing. Below was a message from him, full of taunting provocation. "Hey bro, the car you kept locked in the garage? Just wanted you to see me redlining it." In that instant, Jessica's world turned to ice. Kyle immediately dropped to his knees, grabbing her legs. "Jess, you have to forgive me. I only did it because I love you so much." He was a crying, sniveling mess. "I love you, Jess. I don't want to be your best friend anymore. Let's be together. I mean, Ethan doesn't want you now anyway. I know you love me too," he pleaded. "You're always helping me. You know, blow off steam. If you didn't love me, why would you do something so intimate for me?" Enough. Jessica's face was ashen. She slapped him hard across the face. "Get away from me. I never want to see you again in my life. You want to be with me? In your dreams." Only now did Jessica realize the catastrophic scale of her mistake. She felt like a complete idiot for ever believing Kyle's friendship was genuine, for willingly helping him with that sort of thing, calling it just relaxing. But she had been deceived. She was the victim here. Surely, if she just humbled herself and properly apologized to Ethan, he would come running back like the loyal dog he'd always been. With that thought, Jessica turned to leave. Kyle, spitting out a mouthful of blood, grabbed her arm, a crazed look in his eyes. "Don't be a fool, Jess. You're not actually going to go find Ethan now, are you?" Jessica's eyes were bloodshot. She stomped her heel down on his hand, grinding it into the floor. A faint cracking sound. "AR!" Kyle screamed like a pig being slaughtered. "My business," she snarled, "is none of your concern." After venting her fury, she turned and walked away. "Ha ha 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 ha." Kyle's laughter was unhinged. "Jessica, are you still dreaming that Ethan Hayes will love you? Let me tell you, you can forget it. It takes a man to know a man, and on that beach in the Maldives, I saw it in his eyes. He's completely done with you." Jessica scoffed, unconcerned. She knew how much Ethan loved her. Still, she had to admit she'd gone too far this time. It would take some serious effort to win him back. Jessica went home first. She changed into a white sundress, the one I had picked out for her when we first started dating. I had told her she was as pure and beautiful as the dress. She applied her makeup meticulously, spritzed on my favorite perfume, and washed her hair. The woman in the mirror had long, flowing hair and a confident smile. "Ethan Hayes," she thought, "I admit I wronged you, but I am coming to you with the utmost respect. What can't be forgiven?" Half an hour later, she was knocking on the door of my house. A beautiful young woman opened it, a woman so striking that Jessica felt a pang of jealousy. "Honey, who is it?" I called out casually from the living room, my voice muffled. "May I help you?" Claire asked politely. Ignoring Claire, Jessica's mind was reeling, stuck on that one word. "Honey? What did he just call this woman? Honey?" Her eyes darted past Claire and landed on the photos inside the house. Wedding photos of me and Claire. In an instant, everything clicked into place. Tears welled in her eyes and streamed down her face. She pushed past Claire and screamed at me. "Ethan, how could you do this to me? After I got all dressed up just to see you?" I even wore your favorite dress. Is this how you repay me? How could you cheat on me? How dare you? With that, Jessica collapsed onto the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. I pulled out my phone and played the video of her and Kyle on a loop, holding it in front of her face. She buried her head in her hands. No, I won't watch. That's not me in there. I called security and had them drag her out like a sack of garbage. She struggled. She begged. She cried. Ethan, I know I was wrong. Please give me one more chance. Just like old times, I'm begging you. I shut the door firmly, cutting off the noise. That was the last time I ever saw her. She didn't even show up for the court date 3 days later. Unsurprisingly, I won the lawsuit. Jessica's family tried to dodge the payment, but the court enforced the judgment, and they were forced to pay back $3 million. Desperate, Jessica went to find Kyle. At first, he thought she had come to get back together with him and was thrilled. But as he let his guard down, Jessica attacked him. He never saw it coming. She stabbed him 18 times, leaving 36 holes in his body. He was dead before he hit the ground. When the police arrived, Jessica was kneeling in a pool of his blood, muttering to herself over and over again, "It's all your fault. You're the one who made me this way." She was later convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole. Her father contacted me once, saying Jessica wanted to see me one last time before she was transferred. I refused. On an ordinary autumn afternoon, sunlight streamed through the blinds, casting warm patterns on the floor. I sat on the sofa, holding my wife Claire's hand. "Should we go visit my parents today?" I asked. She handed me a slice of an orange she had just peeled. I popped it in my mouth. A sharp, sour taste exploded on my tongue. "Wow, Claire, this orange is really sour," I said, sticking my tongue out. "Oh, is it?" She looked puzzled and put a slice in her own mouth. "Tastes okay to me. I don't know why, but I've really been craving sour things lately."